Hi, welcome to this Photoshop tutorial. We're going to be creating this. Now, this is quite a time-consuming job to make this, but we're going to do it. So some of the bits I might show you how to do it and then skip forward, but don't worry, I won't leave you hanging. So I've already started with our text effect with on a background. I just use a style for that, so window styles, and I think I use this one here, which is called red with gradient stroke, and it's under the buttons. So you do pull the fly out and choose buttons, append them or add them. Choose that, and then I just scaled the layer style. So you right click on the layer style and choose scales. You can watch my layer styles tutorial for that. So we also need to split it into these jigsaw pieces, and to do that we need to create this jigsaw shape, and we're going to do that in Illustrator. Now, I watched this on a tutorial yesterday, which was on, I think, and yeah, indeed, there it is. So that's where I got the idea. I'm not a great Illustrator user, so thanks to that person. We need to just get the size of this, so let's close this one. We can save it. Image size 1000 by 260. Let's remember that. Adobe Illustrator, File, New, and we're going to do the same but add 100 pixels. So 1100 by 360. One artboard. Leave all the rest as it comes, standard, and click OK. Now what we're going to do is get the rectangle tool. So there. It's M is the shortcut, and Shift M to cycle through the options in that tool menu. We're going to click once, and we're going to create a rectangle the same size as our text object, so 1000 by 260. Click OK. Get our selection tool and just move that up. We made the artboard a little bit bigger just so we've got some room to work with. Now we need to split this into a grid, so making sure that you've got Smart Guides turned off. You want to come to Object, Path, and Split into Grid. We're going to turn on Preview first. We're going to make 3 rows, and we're going to make 6 columns. So we're going to have 18 squares altogether. So then we click OK. Now we're going to make a circle, so we come again over here and we get our ellipse tool. Click once. I think 35 pixels by 35 pixels will be fine. Click OK. Get our move tool, and we're just going to place it over the lines within this rectangle. So we don't want to touch any of these lines on the outside. We only want to touch here, and we want to duplicate it many times, and we want to have part of the circle in one box and a larger part of the circle in another. Now, to duplicate it, we just hold down Alt and drag. So I'll show you that. So we'll set the first one there. We'll hold down Alt, drag, let go, and then just keep doing that. You can maybe do 2, one up, one down. So you go through and do the whole of that, which I'm going to do now. I'll fast forward to the end and I'll show you what it looks like in the end, and then we'll do the next stage of turning it into a jigsaw shape. So, Alt. Okay, so as you can see, I've put circles over all of these lines. Getting that selection tool again, we're going to select the whole object by dragging all the way around it, so it's all selected. And then we're going to get this tool, which is our shape builder tool, and make sure you're on that. And then you want to click in the circle. So what you do is you click in the largest section of the circle first and drag into the smallest. So click there, drag down, and it takes away that line and makes that intersection like that. So you just continue doing that. I think we've got one left there. Just make sure they're all done. do select it all. We need to make sure there's no fill on it, so just click this for none and it'll put an arrow through it. The stroke is fine. 1 pixel is fine for the stroke amount. And then we'll do an edit, copy, and from Photoshop, edit, paste, and it's just pasted it as pixels, which is fine. Click the arrow, and I've set it so it pastes in at the right size, but it was built at the right size anyway, so that doesn't really matter. So that's probably fine. What we'll do is we'll rename it path, and on the bottom layer, no, staying on the path, we'll get our magic wand. Now what we need to do is select all the different sections and make copies of them. This is more time consuming, so I'll show you the first couple, then I'll do it and I'll fast forward. You need to, when you select it, you need to be on the path on, you know, that what we pasted in. So whatever you pasted in it as, path or shape layer, pixels, whatever it is, you need to be on there, and then you need to come down to the layer with the text on it and Control J. Now if I alt click on that layer 1, you'll see it's selected that, just copied that piece. Then go back up to path 2, copy the next bit, down to the layer with the text on it, Control J, and so forth. So I'm going to carry on doing that. And right, so what I've done is I've made a copy of each shape guided by that path. So as I showed you, you can see, I'll just alt click on any of these. I've now got them in pieces. What we need to do is we need to turn each of them into a smart object. Now we could turn each of them into a 3D postcard, and we could have them moving through Z space, so backwards and forwards. But with CS6, if an object is a smart object, or if it's actual editable text, you get the option of animating the property transform instead of position. And with transform, you can not only move it, but you can rotate it, so we can have them spinning in. So I'm just going to do that, and it just adds a little bit of a better effect. Now what I've done is I've just created an action called smart object. I've got a tutorial for actions on my channel at the website photoshopbus.co.uk, so you can go there and you can learn how to create an action. So we'll start at the probably top one and just run our smart objects layer 2. So I'm going to do this, and for all our bits, we can turn off that background as we're doing it, and then you can see it's actually in bits, and I'll come back when that's done. Okay, so I've done that. I've turned all of them into a smart objects. This path we can probably rasterize that, but first of all let's turn on this background layer and let's just give this a color overlay, the same color as this, and it will just, as the pieces come together, you will see gaps now that we've separated them, because there was this little 1 pixel stroke which made up the edges of each of these pieces. So we just sample that color, click OK, click OK, and that will fill in most of the gaps for us. Might see a couple, but it won't be very noticeable. Okay, we can turn that off for now, and we'll leave the path on or off. We'll leave it off, we don't really need it as a guide. Now what we need to do is create a video timeline, and what we're going to do is put the actions back, close that, bring our timeline right up, scroll out on our image, and now we need to open all these layers. It's time consuming, so I'm fast forwarding like I said, because we are dealing with 18 layers to deal with. As I said, we've now got the transform option on each layer. We're going to go to the move tool. We're going to make sure we choose auto select so we don't have to keep clicking to the layers palette, coming back, blah blah blah. Now whatever piece we click on, we'll then be able to free transform. First of all, we're going to move the CTI to about 3 seconds. We'll move our work area down to about 4. Our animation will end at 3 seconds, and then we'll have about a second of static. So we're going to set a keyframe at this 3 second mark, because this is the state where we want the animation to finish. So we'll just click keyframe, and because we've moved our CTI to the 3 second, the keyframe will be positioned at the 3 second mark. So we'll just go through. Right, so I've set a keyframe at the 3 second mark for every single layer in this image, apart from our path and our background layer, which has got the color overlay, which I've actually turned off for the time being. Now I'm going to bring the CTI, which is the current time indicator, back to our first frame, so 0 seconds, and we're going to animate each piece. So we can zoom in a little bit. I'm going to leave a little bit of room so that when we select and move our pieces out of the document, so they can animate in, we will have room to move them out. So make sure you've got auto select on, and we'll select the first bit. We'll press Control. That's better. And then we'll just spin it and just move them off, and it doesn't matter where you move them. So I'll do. Okay, so this is the last piece. Made that happen. If I scrub through the CTI, you can see them all coming in. When they get to the 3 second, they come together. Now, as I said, we have got this gap, and that's what we create the background for. So we're going to come to that background. We're going to click on it, turn it on. We can turn off auto select. We're going to scroll down to and set an opacity keyframe at 100%, and we're going to come back just 1 frame. So I just clicked on this, set the opacity down to 0, and that way, just in a matter of 1 frame, it comes on. So it kind of looks, it's traveling at 30 frames per second. It kind of looks like it comes together with no gaps. Now, if you look closely, you can still see that slight stroke in the letters, because the letters are not the same color as the background. So where that 1 pixel stroke is, you will see the background color peeping through, but I don't think it matters on the whole. And then you press play. Like I've told you before, it has to render into memory, which it should do fairly fast depending on your system. Once it has, it will play at real time, 30 frames per second. We can loop the playback by getting the fly out, loop playback. Press play. Down here it tells you what speed it's playing at. It's playing at nearly 30 frames per second, so that's good enough for me. And do a file and save for web and devices, which I've shown you before how to do. So I've shown you how to export video, and I've also shown you how to save for web and devices. 50 will do a preview. And there you go. Not too bad, or not too shabby. Okay, so, and then from there you'll save it. So, thanks for watching this tutorial. I'll be back soon with another one. Do check out the website at photoshopbus.co.uk. The link will be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And I'll upload the original file for this, just this text, to that website so it can be used. And I'll see you next time.